Mr. Speaker, there is no objection to the withdrawals from the Capital Development Fund, which is being sought by the Honourable Minister of Finance. As he has said, what is being sought is an authorization for a total withdrawal of some $715,687,316. There's a larger set of issues which I think affects all of us in the House, Mr. Speaker, and that is where does the industry as a whole go? There's no doubt that the bauxite industry has sustained Jamaica over many, many decades. It has been with us from the late 1940s. We have had various occasions when we have sought to enhance our earnings from the industry. Perhaps the most glorious period in our history in relation to this industry was when Jamaica, small as we are, confronted the biggest multinationals in the world in the 1970s in an effort to secure the bauxite levy, which gave significant increase to the revenue flows coming to the government of Jamaica by virtue of this. One of the good parts of the story of bauxite was that Jamaica set up the Capital Development Fund towards the end of the 70s in order to take the resources from the bauxite levy and devote it to capital investment which was going to stimulate growth in the country. Sadly, for a combination of reasons, successive administrations have had to use these resources for housekeeping, budgetary support. And so Jamaica went from one of the earliest countries to, in effect, establish what is now known as a sovereign wealth fund. We were one of the first to having a fund which has been depleted because debt has caused us to simply use the money for day-to-day budgetary support. And now we are at the point, Mr. Speaker, not unique, but I could not help but notice that the resolution, the act that is before us, calls for the withdrawal of funds as has been specified by the Minister, but it includes the phrase subject to the liquidity of the fund and the conditions specified in Part 3. In effect, that phrase captures the uncertainty which now exists regarding even the amounts of money that will flow into the Capital Development Fund. Mr. Speaker, I am not here trying to point finger in any direction. Simply to say that in the current circumstances where bauxite still represents the second or third major source of foreign exchange inflows, in light of the mounting uncertainties in the marketplace, in light of the uncertainty caused by the cessation by virtue of government policy of the bauxite levy, we need to, we in this parliament, and with clear statements that should be forthcoming from the government, need to take stock as to the future of this industry and our expectations of it. The industry is at a crossroads. The earnings are uncertain. We are still not clear, Mr. Speaker, although it has been said here many times, what is the policy in relation to the bauxite levy. Are we abandoning it totally? Because right now, one company that is just beginning in Alpat, Gisco, has no levy attached to it. Not complaining, just making the observation. Noranda, a second company, has had, we are told that there is no levy that applies by virtue of government policy. Those who were in the House during the budget debate and standing finance committee will recall that there was a difference of view, and I dare say of understanding, if that's not too euphemistic a term. But there was a difference of view between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Mining. That doesn't, we don't need to have that detain us here. But that suffice it to say that that company, New Day, I believe is the name, has no levy. We are told profit sharing, but profit sharing won't satisfy the public purse because you don't know what the profit is likely to be. But we know and can determine, and there are projections, what the price of aluminum on the London Metal Exchange is, and we could calculate what is due to us as a country. A third company, UC Russell, we are told has had 100% remission of the levy, which leaves one of four cap, which is not paying. So they don't have any levy either. So the question to be asked, after the glorious beginning of the bauxite levy, are we to bury the levy? Are we witnessing the end? Is this heading of the bauxite levy act? Are we just seeing what they would say, dead man walking? A dead act just waiting for burial. We need to consider, Mr. Speaker. The House needs to consider, the government needs to advise, the country needs to decide. It is a depleting resource. It will not last forever. Arising from that, I have a question specifically for the minister. It has long been the practice. It has long been the practice to take some of the resources from the levy through JBI, through JBI, to devote exclusively for the use of communities, such as Moko in your constituency, Mr. Speaker, communities and others, where the mining takes place. They are being left with literally holes in the ground. And the intention has been, again through successive administrations, that the communities that are being, from which the resources being taken, ought to receive tangible benefit, whether in schools or roads or community centers or playfields. Even with what has been done, I am certain that every member of parliament who has been a beneficiary under this would insist that they have not got enough. Their communities have not got enough to compensate for the dislocation, the environmental damage that the communities have suffered over the years, spreading all the way through Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, St. Anne, St. Catherine, in all of these areas. What proportion of this money, if any, is going to those communities? Are there resources in the fund to enable that? I suspect not, and even if any, it is much less than was the case before. So what then can the bauxite producing areas expect to come from this continued mining in their communities? Are they to just recognize that nothing is going to come of it to them? Are we satisfied as a country that we are maximizing the earnings from this industry? Are we satisfied that, given the change in the global marketplace, there is a future for the industry? The parliament just can't come here and every day vote yes without us asking what is in our future, Mr. Speaker, in relation to this industry. We are being told now, and that there is a decision pending regarding the boundaries of the cockpit country, because this national environmental treasure needs to be defined, because the companies, and again, it is an issue that has existed before this administration. It is there now. But all of us are going to be affected by it. What arises is that we need to know what the boundaries are of the cockpit country, and we need to know why the boundaries that are being recommended are being chosen. But the issue goes further, because there is a fundamental issue. Whatever the boundaries that we choose, it is going to involve an encroachment into spaces, geographic areas, locations, which up to now have not been touched, which companies want to mine, and which are a fundamental part of our environmental inheritance in the country. Even when the government decides what areas, the country has to decide what price are we prepared to pay to allow mining, and at what cost. We need to know, we need to decide these things. When companies come and go, we hope that we here and our generations will be here forever, Mr. Speaker, because it's our yard, it's our home, our country, and any future in it belongs to us as a people. And we may be just whistling past the graveyard of our own future in relation to this. If we permit mining to take place in this area, are we going to, what is the policy? Is there a reversal of the policy that says that we should aim at maximizing the refining of alumina so that we're not just digging a hole in the ground and sending out at low cost and low return to Jamaica the bauxite, and when you drive past St. Ann for the future, Northwest and other areas, what you're going to be seeing? Just a hole in the ground. People displaced, come to town to live in substandard ghetto conditions. No money to come because we have adjusted the taxation regime. Mr. Speaker, the minister may not be prepared right now for all these questions. Those that he can satisfy us with, he should. But I'm asking that this House be put in a position as quickly as possible to have the debates about the future of this industry and its implications for the future of the Jamaican people who really want a better standard of life, but are finding that this industry is making a smaller and smaller contribution overall, despite the positive developments that are taking place in St. Elizabeth with the reopening of Alpat, which we applauded. In fact, we have applauded because we started the process. But in more and more communities across the country, and which is significant, the Jamaican people are saying all they are experiencing is hazard, environmental hazard, without commensurate benefit. Loss of long-term livelihood in areas like farming. Yes, there are some bauxite jobs. Yes, it is the case that the differential between bauxite level wages, like when I was a youngster in Monique, and the rest of the wages, that differential has disappeared. Bauxite workers used to be high-wage workers. That's no longer. What are we receiving, Mr. Speaker? We need to know, and we need to find common cause about how we can maximize the earnings from our industry. Mr. Speaker, I end where I began. We have no objection to the withdrawals, but we need to ask some fundamental questions about the future of the industry and the benefits to the people of Jamaica. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.